Greetings everyone, my name is Napoleon Complex, welcome back to Faction Spotlight, and today we are looking at the Kushans once more. However, this is the mirror to the match where I am actually playing as the Germanic foot tribes or Germanic horse tribes allies, and today we will be having a look at the Kushan list from the enemy's perspective, and let's see if I can find a way to beat this list. So looking at the Kushans, I can immediately see that I'm going to have some problems here. My Lancers are going to be pretty much perfectly countered by the enemy's elephants, which are supported by horse archers, and also by Indian archers, which can fire at me from the rough ground. And my Warbands are almost perfectly countered by the presence of these cataphracts, who will also be able to overwhelm my line of Lancers. So the two critical units in my army, the ones that define my army, the Lancers and the Warbands, both have hard counters to them, which are going to be very hard to stop. Now I do have ways of stopping them, however, and this is what this is going to be about looking for. My nomad horse archers can cause a lot of disruption to the elephants if they can fire into them, although they won't be much use against the cataphracts. And my large number of light archers can also cause a huge amount of damage to his missile cavalry if they can concentrate the fire, especially into those unarmoured horse archers who will go down in droves to them. If we can punch through what I suspect will be elephants and horse archers on the flanks, then we can potentially get, or even if it's cataphracts, if we can kill off the elephants or the horse archers which are supporting them, then our other units can drive through the holes that are left between the cataphracts, get around the flanks, surround them and destroy them wherever they are on the battlefield. And I've arranged my troops accordingly. I have a few units of nomad light horse archers, but I don't have great hopes for them to deal with much. They're really just to spend the 40 points I had left over when I set up my army. But these superior warbands can receive an elephant charge, and that's why I deployed them out to this right flank. I have my Lancers in the front. If the cataphract charge is small enough and looks manageable, we can send them into fight with the noble cavalry in support. If not, however, they can turn and pull back behind this checkerboard formation. These noble cavalry and these warbands should be able to offer good defensive options against the cataphract charge, at least long enough for my noble Lancers to get back and then around the flanks and try to go in for an encirclement, or maybe we can break through here against the elephants. And hopefully my flanks are diffused enough that anything else here won't be able to get to the battlefield in time to influence the fight. So obviously this is just kind of a general strategy at first. Basically, these kill elephants, these also kill elephants, these hold up elephants, these either kill or run away from cataphracts and then surround cataphracts. These move up to deal with any mismatches we're facing and keep them busy long enough for us to get a maneuver advantage, and that's pretty much how it goes. So let's set up our generals. So this isn't a bad setup, though I don't want my commander-in-chief there. I want my commander-in-chief. No, actually, right. Here's what this. I actually want this group to have my commander-in-chief only. So we're going to have one general in charge of the Lancers. We're going to have a general back here, commanding one half of the reserve. And another half of the reserve will be commanded here. And that means I can split my reserve forces in half if I have to, although it will cause problems if we have to move this unit over to here. But I suspect I'll need more help in the centre, and so splitting up this won't be as bad, as it won't affect quite so many units. Beyond that, this group has its own commanders as well, and so we have unified command for the two committed attacking units, these are kind of my key units. And then we have a split command for the reserves, which gives us flexibility about where we want to send these. So these forces remain concentrated, these units can split up and go wherever they need to reinforce. And beyond that, there's not really much to say. Now, I deployed second, so we'll actually get to see my enemy's army now. Let's hope I've made the right choices. Not what I was expecting to see. Okay, so he's gone for this awkward split formation with cataphracts and then weaker cavalry in between. Now that presents both threats and opportunities. These cataphracts will obviously run over my lancers, but on the other hand my lancers can run over the enemy cavalry. There's a large number of unarmoured horse archers which will be vulnerable to my archers. My archers are vulnerable in turn to charges out in the open from these nomad light horse archers. I don't like that my superior warbands are facing cataphract charges. It's interesting that he's put his cataphracts out on the extreme flank like this. Because they're unmaneuverable, I usually place them towards my centre. I see very few protected horse archers. He's not brought any of the nomad horse archers which were available to him, and that will make his force very vulnerable to archer fire. But of course my lancers need to look out for this elephant charge which is coming. So he's got the elephants in reserve, and of course if I move my lancers up to engage this line, he's just going to bring in the elephants and wipe them out. What I think I need to do is move my horse archers towards the flanks to keep these cataphracts busy. And I can also use this nomad light horse archer unit to cause some mischief. There's one unit of unarmoured horse archers that could make life difficult for me, but that would allow my warbands in reserve here and my superior warbands to drive these unarmoured horse archers out of the way and maybe start to work towards the elephants. So we're going to be fighting a distraction action, and obviously I want to try and get my skirmishers to attack these Indian elephants. I don't want them or maybe to shoot down these unarmoured horse archers. I don't want them tangling with these cataphracts. And so it looks like the first move by my skirmishers will be towards the centre of the map in order to get ready to engage. So I'm going straight for those elephants. No. I think I want to be fair, because I want my skirmishers to have time to work, I think I want to be fairly conservative in my approach to this battle. I think I'll start to move my lancer line towards this flank, because I can see all of his elephants are here. We need to avoid those elephants as much as possible, so I wanted to move my lancers away from them. Because my other units can either stand up to them, if it's the case of the superior warband, or they can move out the way of them, if it's the case of the horse archers. But my lancers can't, and so they need to move towards this side. Probably not going to be making any aggressive moves this battle until I set up my lines a bit more effectively. Now looking at this, noble cavalry won't do particularly well against cataphracts, but neither will warbands. And I think his line is longer than my lancer line. I've got 8 lancers, he has... No, it's the same, it's the same. I think what we want to do is try and focus our warbands towards his elephants, because although that's not a great matchup for the warbands, it's a lot better than my lancers taking pachyderms to the face. So we'll move into this kind of formation here. As I said before, nomad horse archers out towards the flanks. With my warbands moving inwards. So nothing I can't handle yet, but it is going to require some rearrangement as he's deployed his lines quite carefully here to minimise the advantage to make sure that all his units are well supported. And I have to break up these support groups and then break this up into basically three or four little battles which all go my way. Next turn. Hmm. Right, before we do anything, let's look at what he's doing here. So he's swinging these units out. How do they want to match? Oh yeah, I wanted to match my nomad horse archers to the enemy cataphracts, I think. Let's see. God, that's a lot of elephants. Right, the plan was to punch through these the gaps between these cataphracts, wasn't it? The battlefield unfortunately narrows here, which I'm not sure counts in my favour. Well, we definitely want to put some pressure on his light troops, on his unarmoured units. It's a bit of a waste using these from range, but given that they're cavalry, we kind of have to. Held firm. We're probably better off going for another cohesion test and trying to enhance the one we've already caused. This unit I'll make an exception for, because they have obligingly come in to clobbering range, as I call it. Not having a lot of luck with my light forces so far. Oh, if they want to get into the midst of all that, they're welcome to try. What's the first thing I tell new players? Don't let your light troops get separated from your heavies. Well, if we survive this, I'll probably pull them back. Turn this way, just obstruct their charge a little bit. Right. Four units to the cataphracts. Right, you guys are obviously out there to be annoying. I think I'll threaten some force concentration here in the centre. Just shadow those cataphracts for the moment. Keep our infantry forces around to support. Okay. No, this isn't going to work. The problem is that there are different elements to my force which can work together and win this battle, but they're not in the right places. I need these units to get this is okay. I need these units to get into the face of these unarmoured horse archers and then attack the Indian elephants. But the problem is these units can come in and support. I need the lancers at some point to come in and start our plan against the cataphracts, but they need to be protected from the elephants, which is the skirmishers' job, and the skirmishers are currently out on a limb. I think we'll be forced into a fighting retreat here. Move these units forward so that they're relevant to the battle. Let's see. I think we'll form some kind of temporary checkerboard to let my warbands through the lancers. Or we can just move like this. This unit's probably going to end up coming forward a step to let these guys through. We don't want to get caught in the rough ground there, although that might help us in the against the cataphracts here. Wonder if it's worth moving all the way around. I'm worried about what might come out of those woods. Let's not do that and see if anything emerges. Alright, next, and what was I doing with these guys? They might have been more useful over here, to be honest. Well, I suppose they can at least protect us against anything that comes out of the forest now, and they might be able to make a run around the lake if there is nothing else there. Next turn. Aggressive opening. This could be dangerous. So that's the other thing. If you send your lights too far out, they can just be bypassed. And the elephants are sliding away from the skirmishers. So now I have a few problems to sort out due to my careless deployment earlier. Now that could be helpful to me though, if he's going to rush out like this. Because as I said, the elephants are not my only target for my light troops. For my archers, some might even say they're not my main target. Okay, keep the cats distracted. Yeah, I know, we're just going to be able to pick away at them at the moment, but that's the point, to be annoying to these units. Right. I've been burned like this before trying to use archers in close proximity to horse archers, but here we go again. Some people never learn, and I'm apparently amongst them. No, we are close to those elephants, aren't we? Take that back. It doesn't look like I can quite get a disruption on the elephants this turn. But I can get my skirmishers right past now, and the elephants now have a bit of a problem to solve. I know this cataphracts can only move 2 squares there, so I'll move like this and we'll just dart around them. Unfortunately, no more of my skirmishers can get through right now because the cataphracts can block them off. What I will do is move them this way to continue running around their sides. Now I have an issue because I want my warbands to confront the elephants. I do not want my lancers to do the job. So we're going to have to start maneuvering to try and make that happen. I'll start to shadow them for now. Be ready to sprint for this flank if things go wrong. And yes, I know this means marching straight up to the armoured noble lancers. I wonder, actually, if I shouldn't start to move my warbands forward. No, keep them behind and start them heading this way. They can always slip through the gaps. It's a question now. This is now a fairly complex game of maneuver. And I think I will try and get the cavalry right around the back. Because I need to try to match the units that I want to his units and keep the units I want to keep away from these cataphracts and elephants away. I want to match my lancers to the cataphracts and the Indian cavalry and the warbands to the elephants. And there is some flexibility in that arrangement. Right. Still not having much luck with the disruptions, am I? Hit them one more time, considering this unit's getting pretty badly beaten up anyway. We'll move up our infantry. And fall back to shoot up this unit. And I could get a standing shot off, but that's awfully risky. I'll just fall back and continue to decimate the horse archers. They are now severely weakened, and all they can really do is try and drive my troops off. My light archers here will stand their ground, and since these are disrupted and they'll be attacked by the superior warbands, I think they're fairly safe. These archers will probably just retreat through the lines. Right. Although that does give me a bit of a problem here. If I'm not sure how well these units can actually pull back through my line right now. I think if I This is all a bit potentially dangerous. I'm trying to angle my troops like this so my light archers can fall back to this square here if they're charged. But I don't understand the fallback rules very well. And also the cataphracts are approaching now. Those unarmoured horse archers will make a decent target for my noble cavalry if I can avoid the cataphracts in the meantime. So my skirmishers are now chasing down the elephants thanks to this gap that's been left for us. Although the cataphracts are going to be a problem. We've got the warbands are in the case. They're trying to maneuver over to this area here. So if this line comes through here and the elephants go diagonally, we're making the swap as we talk. I can't do anything against these nomad light horse archers, but my own skirmishers are making good progress against the unarmoured horse archers here. I think this was a mistake on my opponent's part to come forward this far. But he still has time to correct it. And these elephants are still a massive threat to my force, as are these cataphracts. And also remember that my plan was to break through these Indian cavalry and unarmoured horse archer units. Well, once we break through, look what we have to deal with. It's not a good situation still. So let's continue for now. Well, that's problematic. Well, it is forcing him to change his formation and strategy. I'll countercharge here. That might have been more effectively to concentrate this fire, but it's still causing me problems from the lost troops. Right. Well, this move's obvious at least. Good. Right, I want a fragmentation here. Or wait, maybe there's a smarter way of doing this. Right. Because we have a good chance of auto-breaking this unit. Farewell. Excellent. I don't have any way of getting these guys back in the fight, do I? Just have to nail them with concentrated fire. Good. Well, I'm out of silver bullets. And they'll be confronting the cataphracts next turn. Right. Give them one more good hard shove. And now they are in trouble. Fortunately, I can't do anything more than that, but I think that's enough sharp shock. Well, this is what they're there for. Keep those guys occupied. Crunch. That was lucky. A disruption. A disruption from rear charging light cavalry. Perfect. That's potentially hazardous. That's also potentially hazardous. Let's just get the archers out of there for the moment. Yeah, over here, where they're nice and safe. And let's see. Oh, zone of control's kind of important here. So let's just shoot. This is really more of a distraction action anyway. Okay. Over here things are a little bit more tricky. I wonder if those lights will stand their ground or not. Didn't think they would. I need to cause a cohesion test to these elephants. I'm amazed that didn't do it, actually. Well, if we keep hovering around at different angles, then we should eventually work our way towards the elephants. The thing is, I doubt this is going to stop the elephants alone. Our warbands are going to have to do some of the work here. This is dangerous. Right, time to deploy our escape plan, I think. Not exactly the most noble job for, response from my lancers, but sometimes you just have to make a break for it. We're not just going to stand here and get caught by elephants. We need to give ourselves some time. Those cataphracts are frightening though. Be cautious. Let's see. Yeah, get the ones that are directly in front of the enemy lancers out of the way. And leave the rest hovering. And the reason I want to do that is if we get zone of control locked here, I want to have this unit free to move around. I suppose they can move to here, because we're covering the rear attack with this unit. Yeah, that works. It's a bit messy, but we are slowly starting to reposition ourselves in such a way that these elephants are less of a threat. So, right. Getting the upper hand over these guys, I think I've more or less neutralized this threat. This depends on whether or not my noble cavalry can stand their ground or not. These cataphracts will eventually break through, so I think we will eventually lose against these cataphracts if I'm not careful, but I can at least tie them up. I'm in amongst the elephants now, which is good. But this is going to be the key part of the battle, and it's not an area I feel comfortable with. Next turn. Ah, that was clever. So he pushed us away. Ouch. Disruption for a disruption. That was close. That could have been a lot worse. Lucky they were facing that way. No, this is not a good situation for my skirmishers to be in. And he's got the elephants out the way. Yikes! Oh, come on. This could be bad. Alright. Well, at least it gives me more unarmored horse archers to play with. I'm running out of places to run from those elephants. Yeah, he's managed to block it. If those elephants get through, my entire lancer line is going to go. My noble cavalry could potentially draw off an elephant if we can engage at the right angle. I do have another idea. But we just had the idea would be to push these unarmored horse archers off and then get until they run away, and then they get hit in the back by one of my cavalry units. But the elephants will just stomp the lancers in that case. I mean, it's not a terrible idea. It would achieve at least something. But although given current circumstances, it might be all I can really do. Problem is, both these cataphracts and the elephants are deadly to my warbands. At least my lancers can defend themselves. Well, the elephants aren't deadly to my warbands, they're just dangerous. The lancers, on the other hand, will shred them to pieces. Let's see. Well, here's a good attack, at least. Well, this is obviously suicide. Okay. I'll pile on the pressure. I'm fine taking that fight. If it locks down those cataphracts and gets them into a fight in rough ground, that's a fight I will gladly take. Just really focus fire on those cataphracts, see if we can actually disrupt them. No. Okay, no dice. Hmm. That actually has promise. Where's the general for these guys? Good. I wonder if we give them a shove, will they break? Excellent. Okay. Right. I feel that this flank is going to be a loss for us, and this flank is where we're going to win, so I now need to start moving strength. Let's see. What I'm worried about is this elephant could still move over to here. If I can draw the elephants into a fight in the center, then I can potentially mount a counterattack through this area here. And we're definitely not wandering all the way around the edge of the map. What I think I can do is suddenly mount an attack here. Okay, so position our lancers here and here. And now we do have a lot of resources focused on dealing with these cataphracts. Let's see. Okay, transfer them. I think my warbands are just going to have to take the hit. Alright. Hopefully if the elephants come through this way, they'll find themselves in a nest of skirmishers that will shoot them down, and those superior warbands will cause them problems. They'll probably charge with the cavalry and catch them. Alright, I suspect this unit here is going to be the first German unit to fall. These guys just need to get the hell out of here. They're probably going to get surrounded, but at least they're drawing off a lot of expensive nomad horse archers. Okay. You know what? If we're facing Oblivion on this flank anyway, I at least want to get something for it. Of course, what I didn't anticipate was this happening. They ended up in this position here, which is not good. So they'll probably end up getting caught in this unit here. Start to move up subtly. Subtly, that's a small village in England, right? And we just prepare our defense here. Next turn. Or maybe not. Okay, now it's next turn. No, let's move these archers as well. There we go, I think I'm getting tired. Yeah, I said my skirmishers hadn't achieved much in the chat. I meant against the elephants. They've done a fantastic job against the... Right, I forgot that was about to happen this turn. They've done a fantastic job against the skirmishers. Interesting. So he's sending the elephants after those lancers. As expected, they're going to get encircled. They'll just get chased around a lot. But it does get them out of that flank attack. Oh, well positioned skirmishers. You don't want to go that way. You do not want to go that way. My left flank is about to get trampled, isn't it? Aha. That will take some courage on my men's part. We've managed to survive the initial attack here, and I think I might be able to get the flank on these cataphracts. Not that that counts for a whole lot. And those horse archers have blocked me off from attacking. Skylarker's done quite a good job of frustrating me with zones of control here. I don't think we can win a long-term frontal battle like this. If we can survive these horrible impacts, we can get the upper hand on the elephants. Maybe. And if I can avoid his elephants, I can possibly get my lancers into these cataphracts who have got themselves mired on the bad ground. This unit needs to get out of the way, I'll be run down otherwise. The thing is, it's nice to get these unarmoured horse archers, but they're not decisive to the battle. Right, these lancers are dead, they're going to get a visit from the elephants. But there's no reason these armoured noble lancers also have to die. If they can extricate themselves from the situation. Okay, I see what needs to be done here. Let's consider this very carefully. Okay, first of all, what's going to happen here? Damn it, that's a disruption. Well, if it doesn't become a fragmentation, we still have a chance. Oh, those Indian cavalry are incredibly annoying. And if I turn to attack them, then these nomad light horse archers get me. And if I try and engage them, the elephants get me. What I can possibly do is try and protect the square from the elephants and go after these cavalry. But I'm also aware that that's getting in the way of my superior warbands who are coming to help. I don't want to get forced into that situation. Right. Those aren't great odds. Go for it. Okay, we'll wait until they present their backs and then charge in to help. And there's certainly a world where I get a flank attack on these cataphracts. I think I'll try that. But it'll only work if we can hold out for long enough in the melee. I can cover whatever they try to do. They can't afford to ignore all of this. We've kind of got them in a little triangle of death. This unit might be better off just turning back to help this situation. But these guys need to get over to the other flank. Okay. Well, these lancers are focused here and these units are covering the square here, then this really isn't achieving anything. Here's the problem. This is why I'm focused in this area here. I'm pretty sure that this elephant can just break through this line. Because this elephant can engage here. Or potentially here. I suppose he could. There are a number of things he could do, unless I tie up the elephant unit. On the other hand, I'm not really sure why I'm trying to fight so hard to save a flank that's obviously going to die. I think I'm probably better off just trying to take the advantages that I do have. So let's just charge here and try and bring down the cataphracts. Good. And you know what? I can make the situation even worse with them by charging in here. Right. So we'll keep piling on the pressure in this sector. And we'll make sure that we win here. But we have to win the centre battle, I think. Because the left is going. It's a matter of time. And this was unfortunate. But on the other hand, not unexpected. And I can't get through to help these light javelin, unfortunately. This could be the disruption we've been looking for. Nope. But it was worth a shot. And I am bringing more skirmishers around. Let's get them out of there before they die horribly. And ideally, if this unit was to go after someone, I'd like them to go after them in this direction, leading them further away from the fight and further away from the support of their allies. And this unit's going to die. No, that unit's quite vulnerable actually. Oh, they're going to be pursued anyway. So I'm really just deciding how I want to die. It's never a good omen when you're planning to use lancers to protect your soldiers against elephants. Next turn. Back on the horrible side of the battlefield. I say that because my side of this game is going this is a mirror match and the other side's going a lot more smoothly for me. But just to be expected given that I just felt that was going to happen. That won't do much because it's rough ground. Yeah, you really don't want to use cavalry on rough ground unless you can avoid it. Unless you can't avoid it. Well, that was always a risk there was always a risk that might happen. If you can get those disrupted cavalry over. Crunch. Oh good, okay, so they only disrupted and fell back. That gives me a little bit more time. And that helps. Oh, 2 elephant charges. My warband wasn't absorbing that. And the cavalry are getting involved for good measure too. Oh, they chose to evade. Oh, goodness. Saving the best till last there. So 2 units of Indian archers, they'll decimate my noble cavalry. Oh, they're going down fast. I was hoping that they'd be okay. They still have a 49% chance of standing their ground. Even after all of that. Right, obvious thing to do here is guard our flanks and we will charge. That's a fragmentation. And since I do have the situation more or less locked down, let's see if we can't turn the tables on the cataphracts now. Just keep them busy. I really want to try and take them out, but with so many enemy lights looming, and I've got other priorities, I want to take out this unit before it can get involved over here. Let's choose our moves sensibly. Well, never mind. That was incredibly fast. I do need to send enough after them to make sure that we get the kill, though. These guys can get good standing fire on against them. Pretty rough luck for Matic here. And that more or less gives me impunity here. Okay. And those cataphracts are now excellent targets. Right. Blew through our warbands like paper. Blocked the charge on my noble lancers as well, which means these guys are on their own. So once again, I cannot beat those elephants with lancers. I can maybe hold them up for a little while. Oh, I was feeling really bold. I could try and block them next turn. Those elephants are still pursuing. I might take them back. I move them to here. I might be able to set up a flank attack here. And I wish I'd actually reserved fire a little bit here. Doesn't look like I'll be able to disrupt those units yet. This is quite troubling because these Indian cavalry are now loose and they could potentially find their way to this flank. I'll need to block this unit, and I need to watch out for his nomad light horse archers, because they could charge in, block my noble lancers, and then they could go into the side of these units. Now I cannot let that happen under any circumstance, which means my archers are going to be forced out to fight here. It's definitely not the capacity I want to use them for, but it's one I've been forced to use them for. Just try and get the fragmentation on these units. Ah, they've stayed in combat, and that's a oh, nope. It's not a fragmentation, they're just getting worn down due to casualties, which does tend to happen to cavalry more quickly. Okay. No, I'm not going to do the trick where I block in my cavalry. I've sworn off that. Instead, I'll try and get around and we can maybe get flanking these cataphracts. This is terrible. Skirmishers are hunting down my noble cavalry. It's a matter of time here. Might be able to convince those cavalry to disengage. Nope, not after a victory like that. Now, do I want to get flattened by the elephants or crushed by the cataphracts first? I think I'll take cataphracts first. Okay, that's 6 dead cataphracts, that's something. And there's the fragmentation. I could try and block this long enough to get a flank attack in. Oh, but they'll probably break onto the... Oh no, he's about to carry my flank. Because they break, they run, the cataphracts catch this unit in the flank, and they break, and it all rolls into here. Okay, I have to have these armoured lancers ready to conduct a flank attack in that event, to try and counterattack. But I think he's going to get to this flank before I can get to this flank. I think we lost that melee. No, it's just my skirmishers getting overwhelmed. What do I do with these units here? If I could save them, I would, but they're not. They can't get away in time. I'll have them try and block these units in. They're not going to stand for very long, but they can do their best. It's slowly going against me now. What I can do is move these archers up into position and turn. That's the unit that's going to be stationary next turn, so let's leave them there. I just realised that without this unit being pinned in place, those lancers pretty much have to move just now. Mustn't let them charge us. And they could actually lumber away. I wonder if it's worth turning to face the elephants, as insane as that sounds, because it means our noble lancers will take a charge. They'll be paralysed long enough for our superior warband to get into the flanks. Okay, once again I feel the need to apologise to my soldiers for asking them to do something that's utterly insane, that no sane general would ever order, but here we are again. It's becoming distressingly commonplace. Next turn. Good use of the pursuit mechanics. What's going on? Close. Right. Good job shoving them out the way like that. Oh, we are actually quite vulnerable here. Still fighting with the cataphracts. Elephants. That was really quite lucky for me. But there we go. And now who knows what's going to happen. That was lucky. Right. Uh-oh. Oh, thank goodness the elephants didn't go into my lancers. Though I think these armoured noble lancers are still dead. Look at everything that's around them. Oh, I think they're going to be pursued into anyway. So my left is now officially dead. Forest saved us from a back attack there. Hopefully they don't spend too long pursuing. I do need them back for the rest of the battle. That's a fragmentation. Because remember, I've engaged with these nomad light horse archers over here. I might be able to do something with this. Here we go. I think the words everything but the kitchen sink come to mind there. Well, we're back in action. Yes, that does rather block me from attacking the flanks here, doesn't it? I can't intervene, so let's attack the cataphracts here. Right, lots of casualties there, and that gives this unit a better chance. Right, just grinding them down, but I don't know if we're going to have enough time with all of this floating around trying to kill us. At least we've drawn all of this off for the moment. Try and get our noble cavalry to start floating back towards the fight and avoid all of this. Let's see. Well, obviously we can get a flank on the elephants now. I'm going to try and disrupt. I'm trying to think if there's a way that I can... Oh, I don't want to force... Well, here's what I could do. I can turn and face here. If I can lock down this unit here, then that will keep this elephant unit busy. They won't be able to turn to face the superior warbands. And then I could get a flank... Oh, but I think they could turn to face the flanking threat. And then that wouldn't be... Right, here's... So I was planning to turn to face this, lock down the Indian elephant, and then turn the superior warbands to get ready to attack the Indian elephants, which I'm engaging this turn with my superior warbands. Now the reason that wouldn't work is these elephants can turn to face either flank threat, I believe, so they can just turn to face my superior warband, and because they're facing the superior warband, I can't charge, and then the flank attack wouldn't go through, and we'd probably end up just getting hit by something else. So that unfortunately is not going to work. What I can do is fire with my archers. Okay, no disruption. That story isn't over yet. I'll move off here instead to block. Now, can my javelinmen turn to face? No, they cannot. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's a real shame. Now, since these cataphracts are caught on the rough ground here, I can charge in quite safely, no problem. They're too far away to charge, so they can't block it, and anyway my archer's in the way. Resolve things with my light javelin. And now I can get the flank on the noble lancers. So that's done. We'll engage in combat with the elephants, because we will win that over time. Now that's interesting. Superior warbands can actually get the advantage over elephants once they've absorbed the initial charge. So that's worth bearing in mind. And because we got the flank attack, we even managed to disrupt this elephant unit. So if you can get this matchup, it turns out that the superior warbands are good at dealing with elephants. Well, that's excellent news for my long-running match with Gribble, because I was really nervous about deploying superior warbands against elephants. Another heroic stand by a warband there. Okay. And because the elephants are now out of commission, I can turn these lancers around, and they can start stalking after the cataphracts who have been giving my nomad horse archers so much trouble. I'll turn them to face... Well, no, let's keep them this way because I'm worried about them turning. No, let's think about this carefully. Move here, I guess, but the thing is, these cataphracts I think can turn around, but then I can lock them in from this side. It's not ideal because I'll be facing down cataphracts with disrupted noble lancers, but I can at least get them across the battlefield to lock this down and make sure that they can't just turn into the backs of my noble lancers who are busy. Oh, but they'll pursue on anyway. So, never mind, it's not really a big deal, as it turns out. Main thing with these units is I get those armoured horse archers out of flanking threat to those unarmoured horse archers. Ugh. And then we've got this. Fire a volley and then engage. And we bounce off. Well, that is unfortunate, but you still have to be careful about charging, because if these nomad horse archers stand their ground, I'll get the flank with the noble cavalry next turn. We'll finish off here. Alright. Let's see. Probably best if I stand on this rough ground, and then we'll turn to finish off the unarmoured horse. These units need to not turn, because I need to move my light archers here. Oh, curses! I thought they'd be able to turn around in that situation. Okay, what I can do is turn like this and lock them in. And then we can threaten them next turn. And based on that, I will continue to fire upon the trapped nomad light horse archers. Well, we caused a cohesion test at least. Now, unfortunately, these units, to protect this unit here, which is pinning this all in, I need to just stand my ground. Oops, phone. Sorry, phone went off. Let's see. That's about it for this. Can't move those javelin up because I haven't actually zone of control this Indian cavalry unit. They can still charge anything that's in front of them because these units are not facing. So I'm not quite sure what to do with them. I guess I'll send them to help with the horse archer fight. Maybe not put them directly against... No, that should be fine. The worst that will happen to those light archers is they fragment. So I can put my light javelin here behind. But I still won't do that because I want these light archers to have somewhere to fall back to. If I block them from the rough ground, they could end up running away to here or here. They could end up getting caught basically, which is what I don't want to happen. So we've lost the left flank, but I think with everything that's going on over here, we're well set up to win the battle overall. But we do need to hurry up because this unit's going to go once these Indian cavalry turn around, and then this wing's going to go as well, and we could end up in a situation where he manages to break through to my commander-in-chief before I can get through to his elephants with the warbands. And honestly, that he's quite likely to at least get this unit. This unit's a bit more doubtful because I think I'll break his badly damaged cataphracts quite quickly, but even that's not guaranteed. And I think we should win here before, thanks to this disruption, before this becomes a concern. But time is of the essence. Next turn. Right. And that was well timed. That's not so timely, but it does mean that I'm now behind in total rout percentage. Interesting. Of course, if you can get this slot involved in the fight, that can also change matters. Interesting. Right, they're gone. Hopefully, yeah, good, they run directly away from the fight. But those elephants will stop chasing pretty quickly, I think. They will, of course, die quickly once they're flanked. But it depends whether or not I can break the cataphracts quickly or not. Crunch! And that's amazingly not a disruption. He trapped them in. I can hardly say anything about that given that I just did it myself. Yeah. Well, to be fair, the Indian cavalry were at a disadvantage. I did it myself in another match, although it was a situation where my cavalry were sort of in that position, regardless of what I did. That's quite handy. That'll lead his forces even farther away. They won't stand for any length of time, trust me. And that's even better. Now we've got two of our units back in the fight, and they might actually have time to rally up and do something. Something happened somewhere. It's one of the elephants that the warbands are fighting. If we could see, please. I've just had a fantastic piece of luck. Two of his elephants have fragmented down in the corner of the battlefield. And of course that means that they are going to be pursued even further. And the elephants chose to pursue as well. This isn't quite so good. My cavalry aren't going to be able to escape from this, but I can at least put them in the village. And but you know what? I'll pull back. The cataphracts couldn't actually charge there, probably because they're out of command. And so my noble cavalry were able to extricate themselves from the situation. Now, let's see what happens here. I want this cataphract unit to break this turn. But I also need to be careful because if the cavalry go forward instead of the warbands, we might miss our flank attack. So ideally I want the warbands to finish off the elephants, finish off the cataphracts. And then hopefully the pursuit will go my way. Or never mind, they could just do this. And then the elephants break. Of course, I just realised that warbands won't pursue cavalry because they have some common sense. And that was an amazing run of luck. They just happened to fragment the elephants and they got seen off. So in the end, everything went my way with the dice rolls there. And now I am in a very strong position to win this match. Now, I have a few options now with that out the way, because I can divert. I should probably divert troops to stop this flank attack, but I've got the elephants to worry about. So I need to be, because they'll be there next turn, they'll be in a position to attack me within a couple of turns. I don't think I can get a warband over there to help. So we may be better off just giving the general to this unit and taking an attack to our rear this turn, and we can turn around next turn and start sorting out a defensive line. I don't think I will move up to block that flank attack. I'm getting a strong sense of deja vu for some reason. Right. I think we'll move in to threaten the flank here. Because it's not a particularly favourable fight, because if my nomad horse archers get charged, they'll probably either disrupt or fragment under these conditions. My troops are still chasing things around, and I guess my of course my nomad horse archers chose not to stand their ground. So that's a bit of a tricky situation that they're in now. They've got themselves boxed into this corner. Move across to here, that limits where these unarmoured horse archers can move to. Hopefully these units will eventually stop pursuing things. They'll pursue off in that. Well, let's think about this. So they'll pursue off in that direction, going to this square here. Units that are pursuing don't exert a zone of control. The problem is that I think most of the locations I can move to, he can simply move to block me. Certainly this location, he can move to block me here or here. And I can't move my superior warbands over in time to do anything about that. Let's think about this. I think for the moment, as frustrating as it is, we'll just drift off into the woods. No, that risks us getting pushed down into the forest. I need to. Okay, let's not complicate it too much. I'll turn around and stand my ground. And I'll move the threat in the flank here and move here, and we'll find a way to sort this out. Maybe these will block the movement to here, or if they do stop pursuing, they'll have some reserve cavalry to drive that unit off. So I do have options. Can we not just move straight through the forest? Do I take this fight? I think I'll leave them here in the woods, because they may stand their ground and the cataphracts will be caught in a severely disordered battle. But if the cataphracts turn to face these noble lancers, then I've pinned down a very expensive unit with a disrupted unit and a cheaper one. And I can wait until the noble lancers rally up and can do something more useful. Take the elephants. It's the centre that I think was really going to decide this. Now that I've won in the centre, we should be fine. And we've carried on the charge into the elephants here as well. So they will stop pursuing next turn, and I should be able to form a battle line against all of this stuff. So as long as nothing breaks out from the right, my opponent's left, then we should be fine. And this might prove handy for given what's going on over here. Let's see. Right. And another. Alright, let's see if we can't clear them away altogether. Now they held on. I am a little bit worried about this unit getting into a flanking position, but for now we're okay. Well, that doesn't really work for us, does it? Trade them out, and I think we'll just threaten them from our current position. As for what to do here, archers are moving towards us, which means I want to stay in lockstep with my army just now so that I'm prepared to move over and attack them with other units. So I think I'll let my soldiers finish this battle first of all. Just move up to pin them in place, and once these warbands have recovered we can go over and start attacking these units. And I've got enough to form a line here and plenty to tie this down. Okay. And we'll get some fire into them as well. See if we can't win here. It was never very likely. But those cataphracts should fail next turn, hopefully. Though they are superior units, they might hold on. Next turn. Ooh, we were lucky we weren't flanked there. Though I don't think it would have made too much of a difference with only one unarmoured horse archer unit doing the flanking. That's a little bit dangerous. So they rally out, they could threaten my skirmishers. I think my skirmishers are more likely to threaten them at this point. Those archers have done an amazing job this battle. And the pursuers even went and blocked the nomad light horse archers off. Again, game camera as we could see. I wasn't even aware one of my warbands was in battle. That could disrupt the noble lancers if we're not careful. And he's coming over here to prevent me from charging into the... Okay, that actually puts him in a bit of a difficult position. Though I'm handicapped by the fact that my troops are in the forest, so if they charge out they'll be severely disordered. But I think I can finally trap these cataphracts. Right. Let's start on this side of the battlefield. Move in. And shoot. Such a waste bringing these units all the way over here. In the end, they did nothing for us. Right, I definitely don't want to charge there because we'll be disrupted and they won't be. So I'll just hem them in from both sides. I won't turn this unit to face because that way he can't charge. He has to focus on the unit that's directly facing my units. I don't think I can get round here and turn to... Oh, I can! Interesting. Do I want to do that? Probably not, if I'm honest. I want to lock them in place. And I think I'll turn these lancers around and we'll destroy this cataphract unit before anything else can happen. Start shooting at them as well. And I just realised I've got massive skirmishers who can help me do just that. So if you guys can move to here, please. Oh, that doesn't quite let me swing them around. Well, let's get the angle. On the other hand, they're cat. Now let's focus on what my skirmishers should be doing, which is winning the fight over here. So we'll get that first of all. I will move up here and fire. Fire. Back off and fire. I need to be a little bit careful. Okay. This has to be a half arc, but fire. Again, it's a case of using the facing to control the enemy's charge options. Okay. They've done fine work, so I'll finally withdraw them back to safety. Again, move in and throw. Right, they're obviously not going to lose cohesion this turn, but we can at least cause them a lot of damage. Other than that, I think we'll go in and attack the cataphracts then. Just get some damage cost to them. Let's see what to do here. The bowmen are a problem. I could make a mad dash for their archer line. That sounds a little bit desperate given the circumstances. We are technically winning now. I think I'd rather give my warbands a chance to... Oh, but, well, maybe my situation's not as good as I'm making it out to be. There's an awful lot of troops threatening our lines over here. We're in a bit of a crescent right now. I do have this unit over here, but he's got these unarmored horse archers floating around. The warband will eventually be vulnerable if they don't rally up. So how best to arrange this so I can defend myself? Okay, so here's the situation after looking around for a while. Charging out here would be very dangerous because even if we did manage to get into the Indian archers, that unit could turn around and flank us, and if we didn't charge, then we'd be shot down by the Indian archers. I could charge out to try and engage the archers here, but that unit will be upon us the very next turn to flank us. And if I try to stop them, then the elephants will also be upon us within the turn. And I can't move troops around in time to engage, I think. Well, I might be able to. Let's see. If I move this unit to here, that is outside of the elephant's charge range, just about. I could move this unit to here. They could slide around next turn and block the cavalry. And that would allow me to get lancers into the Indian archers. I then have to consider the possibility of an elephant attack and the fact that my superior warbands, I call them Galatians by habit because I'm used to using superior warbands as the Galatians, but I can get my superior warbands around to... I don't think they'll arrive in time, that's the problem. Take them back for a moment, let's see, so that unit moves there, that unit moves there, and moves around to block the cavalry. Then the elephant unit will be upon us. So I can move that unit there. We've then got the cataphracts to worry about, who would be attacking from there. I can't get troops over there in time. Not to block all of that. I'm not even sure if I have enough troops to block everything that's coming in. But what I do have is my own unit of cavalry, who can possibly threaten to zone of control lock the Indian elephants. And by the time, hopefully, that these cataphracts become a problem, then I will have my warbands in position. So let's start moving around. Okay, and then they're not in range of the... I could still be rear charged by the Indian cavalry, but that's just the risk we're going to have to take if this is going to work, I think. I have misgivings about this, but we will charge out. Okay, oh, that was very close to a rear charge. We'll thunder towards the Indian archers, and they'll stay out of range actually, because they will suffer from a fear effect due to being close enough to charge, but they will also be so that they also won't be able to get the close range volley, and so that Indian archer fire should be very weak next turn due to being threatened by so many other units. Hopefully these units will pursue and threaten the unarmored horse archers. If not, we could be in a bit of trouble here. And move this unit to here. This unit assumes that they're going to be facing, we're going to be protecting against elephants here eventually, and beyond that we'll just turn the warbands around and start to move towards the battle. And I'm going to stalk the elephants here. But I might even be able to do it here and interfere with their pathing. Because no, they'd still be able to move directly away from me. It wouldn't really make a difference. So yeah, I'll just have my cavalry stay behind and stalk after the elephants. Stop them from, make it clear that I'm going to stop them from being effective. I think that's right. Okay, I can always move my commander-in-chief across to help reinforce against this elephant charge. And he has to worry about these warbands rallying up as well. Next turn. Honestly, there's more important things for this unit to be worrying about, so I will turn them back to the battlefield. I think my noble lancers can take care of themselves around one unit of unarmored horse archers. Oh, but if we lost a unit now, we'd really pay for it. Let's just move up and make sure that they can't cause us any sudden grief. Next turn. Okay. Uh-oh. Crunch. Second volley and they got disrupted. But I'm into the archers now. Fortunately, my warbands are about to become pachyderm stew. That unit's come back again! Just can't keep them away. Oh good, they've rallied up. That's still grim odds. If I wait one more turn I can crush them from both angles. So I think I'll do that. Right, if these cataphracts want to survive they have to repel this attack. And they didn't. Okay. Well, they're still losing, but so it's a question of whether this unit breaks first or this unit does, but because the cataphracts are already disrupted, my money's on the my troops winning the battle. Okay. That means I've got a multiple melee advantage, and there we go, that's the disruption. And we'll start to circle back. They've got the general, so at least they're mobile. I think I'll try and just push both of these units away. Well, we might even catch this unit. Nope, came close to it though. Right. Nothing to do here but charge! Hopefully we'll break through before we get flanked. If we only travel a tile, we'll get hit in the side. The general's stranded with this warband. I'm not really sure that was the right decision to make, actually. Because those cataphracts can just get into flanking position next turn. And they'll probably just push the noble cavalry off, letting the cataphracts go after my superior warbands. Which is a shame because we could really have used a general on this unit. What are the odds? Very, very grim. My position here is extremely vulnerable with these elephants here. I could try to push towards the Indian archers, but he'd probably just catch me with the Indian cavalry, and there's an even worse possibility of me getting caught by his elephants. Well, because we're certainly not going to win this fight, that's for sure. And it's doubtful whether my superior warbands can cope with his cataphracts, because I think he'll just pin me in next turn from both sides. I could try and get the flank on his Indian elephants, but he'd just block that. Given the facing, I could just try and avoid him here. And make my way up to attack the... So I want to reinforce this position. He could ride up and attack my noble lancers, or even get them on the flank if he's well positioned enough. Okay, I think I'll try to break out. My goodness, that was dangerous. And we'll turn and face here. Actually, no, probably better to turn and face here because you don't. Well, no. Just try to move away from this position because you don't want to be anywhere near this unit when it inevitably explodes. Kind of like this unit to go away again. Oh, it's not far off. It's not far away from auto braking. Right, that's worth doing. We'll get rid of them once and for all. If I could get another unit off the field, we'd be through. We'd have won. Not sure if my opponent forgot this unit or if they just didn't have anywhere to move it. That should be the end of it. Because they're only average quality. How strong is that unit now? Not weak enough that we can destroy it with skirmish fire. At least I've got this unit in a ridiculously bad position. Might even be able to disrupt it with arrow fire. Health farm. I get the feeling that's not where my attention should be right now. We should be trying to get over to these elephants and cause them some trouble. The 2 fresh units of elephants. Archers that are out of ammo won't cause any significant casualties to these kinds of units. However, if nothing rallies on my opponent's side, we've won. Getting rid of that unit was the key to victory. If we can just hold on and if nothing else rallies this turn, we've won the day. But it will be moments before this side of my army gets pancaked. Because I do actually have remarkably little that can defeat those elephants. Hopefully, if something does rally, taking care of the archers will win the battle for us. Because I really don't want to have to fight this part of his army. I really don't have anything that can guarantee victory at this point. Next turn. Oh, we're back. One of his units must have rallied. Right. Okay. Oh, okay. No more, please. So we are going to have to fight in this flank. Right, but I only need 2 more units to break. I can win this. Ah. Now that could decide it. But of course, if they can hang on, I can get flanked by the Indian cavalry. Ugh. We survived there. But now he needs this unit to cover the flanks of the elephants. Right, stuff going on in the other parts of the field. And that's just breaking up the archers. Perfect timing. Because they broke off this turn, I can't charge with them again. But hopefully we should break through now, and that'll be us into the Indian archers again. Yep, so they should go next turn. But of course I could win the battle here if I can break even 1 more unit. I seriously doubt we're going to be able to break these heavily armoured cataphracts with missile fire. But we can try and break these units. Right. Well, we won't break the cataphracts this turn. But we can break these horse archers, and that should be the game. Right, a couple of my units pursued off the field, but it doesn't matter now. Keep bringing these units up to support, and while we can't break the cataphracts, I can at least start to move my units up to support the battle. Oh, we might be, well, they're very close to auto-breaking. But our units can't cause any casualties because they're out of ammo, and they're attacking a fully armoured unit, so they're trying to attack heavily armoured cataphracts with sticks and stones, basically. Right, and they retreated anyway, so we're out of the trap. There's nothing I can do about this situation. We'll test this first. Yep. Charge in. They shouldn't be able to fall back onto the square because the Warband are standing there, guarding that, exerting a primary zone of control onto it. And now we can flank the cataphracts. Right. And hopefully break them as well. Excellent. We do not want to move there because the elephants could pursue. What I can probably do is threaten the Indian archers. Well, no, first of all, let's see what happens with these elephants. Okay, our warbands stand firm for now. So what I can do is threaten the flank of the elephants, and those Indian archers will have to turn around so our archers can move up and start pelting the Indian cavalry. Right, and with a bit of luck, this should bring everything down. Right. Crunch. Already moved all of this. These guys can't do anything anyway. So let's get the charge on and finish off the cataphracts. And they break instantly. So it's going to be one of those battles where one side just finally gives out suddenly. And I think that's it. Anything else? Move these archers back towards this situation, I guess. Okay. That will be the end of it. There we go. So let's have a word about that, shall we? Skylarker had the right idea in that he was avoiding engaging my skirmishers with his elephants, and he managed to try to get the elephants and lancers into my warbands and my cavalry. I think the problem he had was that the elephants weren't quite as devastating against the warbands as I thought they'd be. He was able to win over here because he managed to get his elephants into some of my lancers, and my warbands couldn't hold together everywhere. But what happened was I was able to move reinforcements back towards the battlefield, and I managed to get on top of the situation surprisingly quickly, I think. And I just managed to get into his flanks, tear down the cataphracts and elephants here, and I managed to surge forward and drive them off here. And he'd won here. It looked like Skylarker was going to get a flank attack against one of my warbands here, so it would at least have equalised the situation a little bit. But I got to, I think it was whatever units were fighting around here first, and it was just a case where I was just a little bit quicker in taking advantage of the situation. And I was able to use, although I took bad matchups here, although my lancers ended up fighting elephants, that served the purpose because it delayed that section of his army from, especially considering they pursued for quite a while, it delayed that section of his army from turning around and dealing with the developing crisis in the centre. And that allowed me to get the better of him here. I was also able to use the German auxiliary troops quite effectively to shoot down his unarmoured horse archers. Although I couldn't go for my original target, I had another part of the Kushan army to aim for. Those unarmoured horse archers were excellent targets. Now, if the unarmoured horse archers had had some masked archers, or a few of the Kushan skirmishers of their own supported them, other than just there wasn't light horse, but the rough ground got in the way here, and it gave me basically islands of security to attack out from. And that meant that the light horse really couldn't adequately protect the massed horse archers. So I think the solution to that would be, I mean, the Kushans do have a few foot skirmishers, so maybe bring them if you suspect that you're going to be facing enemy foot skirmishers that could threaten your unarmoured horse. Another one would be to maybe just don't commit unarmoured horse archers. Maybe just don't commit to this side of the battlefield at all. Instead, hold those units back in reserve while the cataphracts and elephants go forward. And you can kind of form a screen with your light troops. And it's only once you've broken through here, or you feel you need to commit to reserves here, because obviously some reinforcements coming in at this late stage could have turned the situation around. But if the horse archers had been held in reserve and maybe just formed a solid line against the skirmishers, then they could possibly, alongside light troops in support, of course, because you don't want unarmoured horse archers going toe to toe with light archers on their own. But keeping those troops back, maybe with the support of some of the nomad horse archers and some of the cataphracts, which ended up fighting over here, could have been useful. And that would also have forced my cavalry, if they wanted to get at those horse archers, to funnel through this rough patches, this narrow area between the rough patches of ground. And even a few units of cataphracts and nomad horse archers would have been enough to hold this area back. So maybe a system of reserve and concentrating everything on this right side could have helped. But I think the main thing is just bring more light troops and to try and deal with this, and to support your horse archers against a light infantry swarm like this. Because given the light infantry were probably the most dangerous part of the German army, at least they were in my mind, and they caused a lot of casualties amongst both the light and the medium elements of the Kushan army. And we saw the light power again over here when I disrupted the units of cataphracts. Now that was a lucky charge, but allowed the units of my nomad horse archers to bring down a unit of cataphracts when ordinarily the cataphracts would have lost that contest. So watch out for units of light horse hunting around the other side of, the hostile side of your units, because if they charge in suddenly, then they can very quickly turn the battle. Just by a lucky disrupt. And that's what Snuggle Bunnies is doing to me in another game. He's constantly charging in this light cavalry to disrupt whatever I'm doing on the board. And that's actually putting me in a very difficult position in one of my Revenge Against Hannibal games. I think this ultimately came down to force concentration and force choices. My cavalry just got the upper hand in this situation. And obviously, once the centre had collapsed and once the Kushan left had collapsed, the right was going to go eventually. And what sealed the deal was when the archers tried to move up to help, I was able to very quickly move lancers over to attack and seal the deal. So if there are lancers anywhere in the open that have any pathway towards massed archers at all, don't bring the massed archers out into the open. It would have been better to leave them in the forest for the battle than to move them out into a situation where they can get caught like that. And if they do come out, then they need other units protecting them. These irregular foot were running along the sides of them, but they needed to be out in front. Because and also they need to be strong enough, because even a regular foot wouldn't have been able to stop lancer charge, but they might have stopped this disrupted units of noble lancers from charging. But I had another one that was in good order, and I think they would have probably won through against the irregular foot, but it might have bought enough time for other units to come to the rescue. But honestly, by the time it got to this point, the Kushan line was in a pretty ragged state, and those massed archers would have been better off being used earlier in the battle to score disruptions against my lancers in order to win an advantage earlier in the battle, or as support against my own light troops. Anyway, folks, I have been Napoleon Complex. I go by Lindorf. Well, you know that. I've been Napoleon Complex. Thank you for watching this video. Please consider liking and subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell. And because I also forget, here's the end screen.